Governor Jared Polis signed Senate Bill 181 this week and said he hopes this will put an end to the oil and gas wars. The measure will add an environmental and public health expert to the Colorado Oil and Gas Conservation Commission and will also give local governments more control on oil and gas activity. Eric, I couldn't help but roll my eyes, and I really liked a tweet that Kyle Clark sent out this week that said that whole, Polis says this will end the oil and gas wars, and he puts narrator : they've only just begun. And I think that's exactly it. This is not the end of any war. This is the beginning. Maybe I'm crazy. What do you think?
No, you're not crazy. I thought it was a silly comment, quite frankly, on the governor's part. In all my years of doing this show, I think the safest prediction I can make will be that this will not, emphatically not, put an end to the oil and gas wars. It is another chapter in those wars. It changes the playing field until there is another iteration coming down the road, whether that's at the ballot box or somewhere else. The real issue here is what impact these new rules have on the industry, and more than that, what impact it has on the financial side of the industry, on the willingness to invest in Colorado, or does that money just go to other states where perhaps the regulation and the political climate is not what it is now. There are petitions already being talked about, ballot titles being set for an alternative measure on the ballot coming up. This war is red hot and is not ending anytime soon.
Natasha, what do you make of both Governor Polis' comments and also the fact that we do have a new, pretty extensive oil and gas regulation law of the land?
Well, I think it's going to take a little while to sort through exactly how it's going to play out. What I do know is that it's going to shift the conversation from really being centered around the Capitol into our communities. And what's interesting is that those conversations, what's happened in really the last year and a half to 2 years, started in our communities. And so now they'll be going out and saying, okay, this might be a different feeling, a different mood, a different way we want to handle this in Boulder County versus Weld County versus various other places throughout our state. And in some ways that feels very appropriate. Is it different? Yes. Is there going to be a change in the way that this industry operates in this state? No doubt. Time will tell whether it's a doomsday scenario.
Patty, it doesn't have a John Williams soundtrack, but it does feel that we're in line for another big summer sequel of oil and gas wars. What do you think?
Well, let's not forget the truce back in 2014 when Polis was persuaded by Governor John Hickenlooper and others to pull back on the two ballots he'd supported, the ballot initiatives he supported. And oil and gas might have been happier with those and actually letting those go through than what they are winding up with 4 years later. So we're going to continue to have fights. Dan Haley, full employment. I'm sure he enjoyed it sitting around this table a lot more than he did some of the things that have happened to him lately.
Indeed, somewhere in a bunker, not enjoying the wars. David, any thoughts on this issue?
Well, I think Polis was the governor was being aspirational about ending the oil and gas wars, because the way you end a war is you destroy the enemy. And this is a gigantic step in that direction, which is going to wipe out, over the long term, new drilling in most of Colorado. But on the other hand, Representative Rochelle Galindo has a bill that's going to create a new office in the governor's, few folks working in the governor's office. So when you lose the good paying job that you liked, somebody in the governor's office will tell you, oh, you can just transition.